My name is Benjamin Lightburn. I'm the president of Mazza Innovation. As mentioned, we're a Canadian company from British Columbia in Vancouver. We have scaled up the first that we know of large-scale commercial subcritical water extraction extractor, and we operate 24 hours a day in our plant in Vancouver. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company, how it was founded, and what we do on a day-to-day basis. And I'll try to leave a lot of time for questions at the end, because usually that's more informative. So the company was founded by a fellow called Joe Mazza. He was a researcher at the Ministry of Agriculture in Summerland. And he was researching the health benefits of various polyphenols, anthocyanins, proanthocyanins, compounds like this. And he developed this subcritical water extraction. It had been known for some time in the industry, but they set about trying to achieve a scale up. So they patented some of the equipment while at the Ministry of Agriculture, and Joe, at the age of 65, he retired and then became an entrepreneur. He founded the company Mazza Innovation, licensed the technology back to the company, and here we are today. Fast forward to today, we're operating out of a full-scale plant in Delta. We've raised over $8.5 million now, and with $2 million of government funding, and we're hopefully off to the races, as they say. So we operate in three main commercial areas, and they're oftentimes overlapping. That's the nutrition and health, food and beverage, and the cosmetics and personal care industries. We find broad applicability for the products that we make in these three industries. Sometimes with the same company, sometimes with completely different companies. And not only that, all the products we make, we try to have them reflect our mission, which is reflect health. And what that means is that we reflect health in everything that we do. You can see these pictures here. These are actually pictures of the extracts that we make, and you can see they have this very nice shine to them, and that's for a couple of reasons why I'll get into later. But it kind of neatly ties in with our mission to not only are extracts shiny, but we also reflect health. We don't use any maltodextrin, we don't use any preservatives, we don't use any solvents besides water. So anytime you buy one of our extracts, you're actually getting 100% pure plant material with nothing added. A little bit about the business side. I think we all know that the herbal extracts industry is huge and it's growing. North America alone, we see that just the ingredients market is in the $4 to $5 billion range, and it's growing every year. It's a nice kind of recession-proof industry. But there are some issues in the industry, and recently in the news, in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of scrutiny for some of the practices that have been going on the manufacturing side of things. Practices such as, contaminating your product with ingredients that aren't listed on the bottle, making unsubstantiated health claims. And one of the other big issues is sort of non-transparent manufacturing methods, the use of sometimes highly toxic and very dangerous chemicals, solvents, and other things that are injurious to human health. And so this has drawn a lot of media and regulatory conspiracy. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar, but GNC, the largest retailer of these kinds of products in North America, has been taken to court by the Attorney General of New York, and they're under vast scrutiny to improve some of the manufacturing methods, to improve transparency. And it's in the market. I mean, GNC is kind of in hibernation while they figure all this stuff out, and it's been terrible for their sales. But the problem that we try to address at Mazza most directly is the ability now to do away with a lot of different kinds of solvent extraction, right? So we all know why solvents are good, because they can get a good yield and a good selectivity most of the times when we're doing an extraction from biomass. But we also know why they're bad. They are, they're toxic, they are flammable, they can explode if you don't handle them correctly. So if there was a way that we could get away from using solvents and just use something benign like water, then, well, obviously we would do that. So what we do is we actually make water behave like an organic solvent during the extraction by increasing the temperature of water above 100 degrees C, but maintaining it liquid with the use of pressure. So it turns out, as I think many of you are aware, that as you increase the temperature of liquid water, you actually find that the dielectric constant, the polarity of the water matrix, actually decreases, and this is due to the dissociation of hydrogen molecules that are bound together through hydrogen bonding. So suffice to say that if we raise the temperature of water, we reduce the polarity, and you find that water can have a polarity similar to typical organic solvents, ethanol, methanol, ethyl acetate, acetone. And what's really nice about our system is that as we raise the temperature or lower the temperature, we actually vary the polarity and can selectively extract certain classes of compounds over others. If you're using solvents, you have to rely on mixing the solvents together. We just turn the temperature dial or program the temperature differently, and so we can extract one class of compounds over another. From a manufacturing point of view, operating with only water presents a host of benefits. It took us just under a year to build a full-scale facility. We didn't need to do anything explosion-proof. We didn't have to have any solvent containment. We didn't have to have any fancy air handling system. We moved into an existing facility which made fruit flavorings for the dairy industry. So we, having experience in organic solvent extraction, it was just the ease at which you can operate just with water is almost immeasurable. And when compared with other extraction technologies, we find that at present, when we're talking about scaled up technologies, we're the only one that is clean meaning there's no solvent. We're relatively fast. It's simple. We can get the high yields and the high selectivity of solvent extraction. One note is that supercritical CO2 generally is mimicking solvents such as hexane. These are low polarity or apolar solvents. Our system, subcritical water, is mimicking polar solvents, anything from acetone up to ethanol or water. So people not familiar with the industry, they come to us and they go, oh, you're gonna try to replace supercritical CO2. Oh no, we're not trying to replace supercritical CO2. In fact, it's the perfect complement to supercritical CO2. So back in 2011, the company was started. And we were operating out of a benchtop extractor. It's about this big. The vessel size is 500 milliliters, isn't less than that, 200 milliliters. And so we set about testing this new benchtop extractor on many different sources of biomass. And working with different commercial partners, we were able to get data that they were able to achieve using solvent extraction, and we compared what we were able to do on the bench versus what they were able to achieve on the bench. And we found that we were doing pretty well for ourselves. So for the example of cranberry pomace extraction targeting for proanthocyanidins, where the solvent extractor was only able to get a 70% yield, we were able to get a 222% yield, and with a corresponding almost doubling of purity. The reason that we're able to get such high yields of a compound such as proanthocyanidin is that our system is actually able to depolymerize some of the longer chain PACs into shorter chain PACs, which gives the advantage of getting a kind of an artificially high yield, but also making the molecules more bioavailable. So with some good results, and this is just a snapshot of all the things that we did, we set about building a pilot scale extractor. And the pilot scale extractor we built in an old fruit leather manufacturing facility in Summerland, British Columbia, in the Okanagan, in the wine country. So we did a lot of testing on different kinds of wine pomace, Malbec, Merlot, Pinot Noir, different pomaces such as this. But the main purpose of the pilot reactor was to prove a scale up. It's about 1,800 times bigger than the benchtop extraction unit. And so when we analyzed the results from the pilot scale extractor, we were very happy to find that there was a very good replicability of the yield and the target compound purity that we achieved. So in my mind, this was really the biggest achievement, was this first pilot scale extractor. Having built the pilot scale extractor, we put it together some other piece of equipment, and we completed a pilot plant. And we did our first industry launch in 2015 at Natural Products Expo West in Anaheim, which is the industry's biggest trade show. We sort of made extracts on the kilogram, 50 kilogram, 100 kilogram scale. Not really enough to make a dent on the humongous industry, but enough to give large-scale samples to customers and to get good feedback from them. So we knew that we had something, but we knew that it wasn't at high enough commercial scale yet. So what did we do? We increased the size of the extractor, and now we have what we call the commercial scale, or the 5-column extractor, and I have some pictures of it coming up. But each column size is actually twice as big as the pilot scale. So it's 12-inch diameter column, 80 inches high, and there's 5 columns so that we can prepare one column and then load the rest and get them ready. So they operate in a semi-continuum manner. There's a patent on the first patent is the patent that was filed by Joe when he was at Ministry of Agriculture. The second patent, which deals with the current equipment, was filed in December 13 and has been filed worldwide. And this is the diagram of the apparatus that's in the patent. But the process is more than just an extractor. The extractor produces a what we call the liquid extract. It's about 1 to 3% solids, depending on the material that we're extracting, in order to get that to a finished product, or what the dietary supplement industry would say a finished raw material. For us is the finished product. We use a simple evaporation step in order to remove most of the water and bring the solids concentration to about 30%. And then we dry. And we dry on a number of different drying technologies, one of which I'll get into in a second. Here's a picture of the full-scale extractor. It's a deliberately not very clear picture, so you can't steal our secrets. There you can see the 5 columns. They all open from the bottom and they open from the top. It's very, very simple. The bottom of the column opens, the top opens, the biomass gets put in, the lids of the column get closed, and then steam jackets perform a pre-warming before the heated water solvent flows through the column from a bottom-up direction. Like I said, it produces a liquid extract. It looks like this. The spent biomass looks just like, a lot of times looks exactly like the raw material that goes in. One of the big advantages of our extraction system is that the spent biomass isn't contaminated with solvent. In fact, we can just put it in the organic compost or freeze it and dry it and sell it as a co-product for other industries. Here's our evaporator. It's a rising falling film 3-effect evaporator. It's standard food equipment. And this is the liquid concentrate that it produces. So this is 30% solids cranberry concentrate, actually. And this product we're currently making for a large ingredients company called Naturex. This is the drying technology. It's called refractance window dryer. One of the drying technologies that we use. It's basically some kind of a fluid bed that lies on a mylar sheet that's resting on a hot water bath. Heat from the water bath transfers into the extract, and then air handling blows, and the moisture basically just evaporates from the sheet, leaving this kind of a dry extract, which makes these really neat flakes. And we have some samples to show you at the end if you'd like. So this is a technology that we chose because it didn't require that we added any kind of carrier or flowing agent. So we can make extract that's 100% pure. There's no maltodextrin, there's no nothing in here besides, in this case, pure cranberry. As I mentioned, the plant's in Vancouver, which is kind of an out-of-the-way place, but we like to think that it's close to Europe and Asia and America. We have a Health Canada site license. We're also certified, actually it's missing. We recently got GMP certification by NSF International. We're certified organic by USDA and Canadian organic regulations. So since we're not using solvents, we have a much easier time getting these kinds of certifications because our process, we're literally just adding water and then removing it, and that's the only thing that we're doing. There's a picture of the outside of the plant. It's 38,000 square feet, 3,500 square meters. We currently have one extractor sitting right there in the middle. As you can see, this whole area here will be slated for adding more extractors. That current extractor can process about 1 ton of dry weight per 24 hours of biomass, and we have room for up to 6 extractors in the same plant. So we're ready to scale up for a pretty large capacity here. Over the years, we've worked on many different feedstock extract combinations. I put this here so that you can memorize it, and I'll give you a test afterwards, just to show you that we have been working on many different things. Just to give an idea of the target compound purities that we achieve, and just to give an idea of all the different kinds of things that we've been working on. So what's our commercial side look like? Well, in 2015, when we launched, we came out with 3 ingredients. These were blueberry, cranberry, and green tea extracts. Just kind of generic extracts, standardized in different phytochemicals that we went out and we tried to sell. These were, a couple things happened. One is we won an award for having the most innovative new ingredients. And the other thing that happened was we were approached by NatureX. And NatureX, with them we signed a long-term exclusive deal to provide them with all of our cranberry extracts. We also have a pipeline of new ingredients. We're always releasing more every day. We try to replace conventional extracts with organic extracts. So our pipeline is growing. I'll also touch on a recent initiative. We figured that since we have the best extraction technology, we should also go search for the best raw materials. And in the case of the spearmint project that we have going on, we've licensed a novel breed of spearmint from the University of Guelph. It's unusually rich in rosmarinic acid, which is known to have various beneficial properties for human and animal health. The mint was actually bred to provide horses with rosmarinic acid because the horses would actually just go and eat the herb, which I thought was kind of interesting. But they also did a study. By giving this herb to humans, it helped reduce their symptoms of osteoarthritis. So we licensed this mint to ourselves. We made some extract. We applied to Health Canada, and we received the following health claim: helps to improve stiffness, physical function, and decrease pain in adults with osteoarthritis. So this is a product that now the mint's actually growing. We'll have the first crop next year, and we should have a commercial product that not only has a proprietary extraction technology, but also has proprietary biomass and proprietary health claims, all 3 together, which we think makes a very strong product, which does make a very strong product. In addition to developing products in-house for sale, we work with many of the industry's leading companies. A couple here I've highlighted. Chromadex, we've developed an extract for them I'll touch on in a minute. Life Extension, which is a leading supplements company, we've developed for them a proprietary blend of a whole bunch of different crops. That's a consumer product which will be coming out in early 2017, which we're very excited for. And NatureX, I've mentioned, it's actually the largest nutraceutical botanical ingredients company in the world. We're their supplier for cranberry extract. I touched on the Chromadex project. We're making them a very unique extract of purple corn husk. This is a special variety of purple corn, and it produces these it's amazing stuff. There's very, very purple cob and very, very purple husk. So we actually receive the husk. It's a byproduct, and we extract the anthocyanins, and we standardize it to above 15% anthocyanins. So one of the main questions we get is, you're extracting at these high temperatures and high pressures, don't you destroy the heat-sensitive compounds? And the answer is, well, we could, but we mitigate those losses by a couple of reasons. One is that the extraction is actually in a purge system without any oxygen. We purge the oxygen before extraction. The second reason is that the extraction time is actually quite short, usually between 15 and 30 minutes. And the third reason is just the proof is in the pudding. I mean, here we're making an extract standardized to about 15% anthocyanins, which are known to be temperature sensitive. Most of the extracts that come out are actually over 20%. So it's really quite remarkable stuff. If you go on the Chromadex website, you can see the write-up about this product that we're actually making for them. I thought another interesting thing that we do is most of our raw materials are actually agricultural byproducts or co-products of some kind, which is a kind of an interesting side feature of our technology. It's very, very flexible. It doesn't really matter what's the moisture content. It doesn't need to be dried. It can be frozen. We're very, very flexible in terms of what can be thrown into the extractor. It need not be ground into a powder. All of this sort of biomass pretreatment, which oftentimes is overlooked with solvent extraction, we just don't need to do it. So I highlighted a couple of different of suppliers that we're working with. We're making a pecan shell extract, which is over 50% in polyphenols, from discarded pecan shells, which come from a company called Hammond's Nuts or Hammond's Products. They're in the southern United States. They sell these pecan shells as garden mulch and dynamite packing because they're so inert. But we take them, we help them get their processes set up to sell us food grade pecan shells, from which we're able to make a really nice extract that's over 50% in polyphenols. Similarly, with artichokes, we're working with a local artichoke supplier, and they have a very strict contract with Costco to provide artichokes. But Costco is very strict on the size, so if the artichoke's a little bit too big or a little bit too small, they can't sell them. So we get the odd size ones, very cheap, and we just take whole artichokes and put them into the extractor, as easy as that. We're very, very, very flexible, and we make extract that's over 15% polyphenols. But one of the challenges of working with straight from the farm raw materials is that oftentimes they have a high micro load. Another sort of intangible, not intangible, but sort of just a benefit of the technology that you realize as you go down the road is that it's actually a built-in micro kill step. So it's a kind of a built-in sterilization step. And some of the data that we have here, we can show that we can kill pretty high micro loads coming in from the raw material. We can kill it when it comes out into the extract. So as we go along, we find all of these unique benefits, flexibility in loading, micro sterilization, all these different things that we actually didn't know when we first set out. So that's the summary. I guess the takeaway is that we have scaled up this subcritical water extraction. You're all welcome to come for a tour next time you're in Vancouver. We've scaled it up. We're hoping to become the new standard for solvent extraction, or replacing solvent. We want to become the new standard just for extraction in general. Our future plans are to expand worldwide more aggressively and to get more health claims for more proprietary ingredients and maybe license these kind of toll manufacturing deals, kind of license them back to the customer and stay with the core business of making high-value products internally. And with that, I thank you very much. With me here is Stéphane Gagné. Il est à l'arrière là-bas. Et puis aussi, on a Viviane Belair avec nous aussi. So, merci beaucoup pour votre attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lightburn. It was interesting. We have now, it sounds mature as a technology, so congratulations. So it is very interesting for the extraction. Do you have any question for our guest, our speaker? Yes, ma'am.
So, which kind of products you can extract with this technology? You was talking about polyphenol. There is other kind of product, value-added product that you can extract with polyphenol.
The rule of thumb is anything that's soluble in water, alcohol, ethyl acetate, and even acetone, we've shown success with extracting. So we even had someone come to us and say, can you extract the small minerals out of petrified peat? Oh, we'll give it a try. So we're going to throw stones into the extractor and see what we can extract. So yes, the technology is applicable to anything. I mean, we're extracting alkaloids, we're extracting all kinds of different stuff. Anything that's soluble in water or alcohol, and to a certain extent, ethyl acetate and acetone.
You have any other question? Yes?
Yeah, can you play with the pH with this technology, or you have fixed pH?
We have played with the pH. We've done some experiments by adding acids and bases to the extraction. The problem is that normally, so the answer is yes, we can play with the pH. There are certain reasons to suggest that the pH naturally does get lowered during the extraction due to the conditions. I don't know if it's very understood why, but that's maybe one of the reasons why we get such good results. When you add, say, citric acid to the extraction, the problem is you also extract the citric acid out at the end, so it dilutes the purity of the target compound in the extract. So the answer is yes, we've tried it, but we're still working on it. Yeah.
Other question? Yes?
So then maybe you can touch a little bit on the business model and how people can do business with Mazza.
Says the VP of Sales. So there's a couple of ways, but probably the most interesting avenue for collaboration is the joint R&D model that we have, where we regularly take new sources of biomass from different partners all around the world. They send us a sample, we extract at various conditions, perform the analysis, or have the partner perform the analysis, and send that back. We do that for a nominal fee, not to make money, just to make sure that the partner is really truly interested. Or they can, start with a large-scale extraction project for something that we already know how to do. So if you come with purple corn, we know how to extract that very well. So we're ready to do anything that you've seen here for you tomorrow.
But are you a technology provider?
We, until now, no. Until we had our first scaled up extractor, we couldn't really go around saying that, offering this as a license for license, because we didn't have one ourselves. Now that we have an extractor ourselves, we can say, well, wouldn't you like to have one of these beautiful machines in your own plant? So now we actually are in the early stages of discussing our first couple of licensing deals and transferring the technology to partners. Yeah.
Okay. There was a question at the end of the room, no? Okay. Yes?
Of your examples, you were talking about extracting something from a novel biomass. What's a novel biomass?
Well, there was two. The first one was spearmint. It says spearmint. It's just mint. And it's novel in that it was selectively bred to contain a high level of rosmarinic acid. The second one I talked about was this purple corn. Again, it's just a hybrid that is bred to contain a very high quantity of anthocyanin.
There was a question. Yes?
The secondary processing units, the concentrators and the drying unit, is that proprietary as well?
No. The dryer is proprietary, but not to us. It's proprietary to the drying company. Yeah.
Another question. You show us a list of the biomass that you have tried to extract, and did you work with bark?
We haven't done any bark projects.
Do you think we need more bark?
I think it would work very well with bark. Yeah.
And how about your feeding system? Have you developed a feeding system for this?
When we built this extractor, that's a good question. When we built this extractor, we were kind of designing it. We were conceiving it in our mind, basically. So we decided to not do any biomass handling system at all. It's all manual. So it's a lot of work for some of the products. But the reason we did that is that we knew the manual system would work. So in the next generation of extractor, we will have some kind of biomass handling system to make it easier on the operators.
Good question. Yes?
On the biomass side, did you work with microbial biomass at all?
No, not yet.
And
No.
is that probably more challenging than the ones that?
I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. I have no idea. It's not something I've ever considered. So we could give it a shot.
Okay. Yeah, I have one question.
Sure.
About the scaling up.
Sure.
What was your critical parameter for the scale up this technology?
Throughput, really. Throughput is the most important thing. So it's it's a combination of what's your vessel size and what's the extraction time and how much biomass can you load in each column. And we knew we needed to achieve a minimum throughput in order for this technology to be interesting. We know that at 1 ton per day, we're not the largest extraction company in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but we knew that with a scale of that size that we would be big enough so that people would, we can confidently say that the technology has been scaled to commercial scale. So this throughput is the most important thing, throughput of biomass.
One last question at the end.
Yes, your process, you say that it's like a better process because it's clean and all this, but cost-wise, are you competitive with solvent or like, I know it's water, but are you still, you know?
Right. We are, in fact. We are competitive. We don't have to buy solvents and handle solvents. So the solvent handling makes the plant cheaper to build and operate. And it's the solvent purchasing. Now, obviously, when you do a solvent extraction, you recover most of the solvent. But a certain amount is always held up in the biomass, and you have to dispose of that held up solvent in the spent biomass. We don't have that cost. So, and that can be quite a significant cost. If every kilo of biomass you're throwing away, you're also throwing away a half to a full kilo of solvent as well. That's a half to a full kilo of solvent that you then have to purchase in order to make up for the next batch. We don't have to recycle the solvent. We don't have to pay to dispose of the solvent. So our costs are quite a bit lower than solvent extraction. But we're not advertising this as a low-cost alternative. We want the image in the market to come as it's a high quality, high purity, extra special product rather than a low-cost product.
Okay, so thank you very much.
You're very welcome.